Hello, this is Nate Parks with Special Olympics Nebraska. Just wanted to take a few moments and help educate anyone who's interested about where we are with our return to play here at Special Olympics Nebraska. And this is really meant for any athletes, unified partners, family members, coaches, volunteers, teachers, anyone who's interested in learning about protocols that we have in place for our competitions, our events, and kind of what we have upcoming here over the next several months. So today is Monday, August 16th, and just want to kind of talk to you, like I said, about where we are. So if anyone has questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm a vice president of program. I can be reached at nparks@sone.org or 402-331-5545 extension 16. Any questions, and my contact information is on our website as well. So first thing I want to do is just kind of explain where on our website you can find important information related to COVID-19 and our return to play. So what you're seeing on my screen right now is our main page for our website, sone.org. And if you'd like to learn about our return to play, you go under our events tab and our return to play page. This page will show you different files and forms that you'll need to know and things you'll need to understand, as well as our protocol, which I will talk about here in just a moment. So first off, I am our COVID-19 point of contact. And so, like I said, contact me with any questions. On this page, you'll find a code of conduct, a waiver. These are important and required for any athlete, unified partner, coach, or category A volunteer as your team returns to play. This is not something that you need to complete for every sport or every event. These are forms that would need to be completed just once when you return, and each person would need to fill it out and then would send that into our office to Taylor Wolf's attention, twolf@sone.org, or you could always mail or drop off anything, whatever works for you, whatever's easiest. And if you need copies of these forms, just contact Taylor and she can send out, whatever you need. That way you don't have to print where you are and that type of thing. So if there's anybody out there who has questions about the COVID-19 vaccine, Special Olympics International has a lot of resources available to you. You would just click on this link right here. There's a high risk fact sheet. So if we have someone who is, considered high risk and a bit more vulnerable to the virus, this form will give you some insight and information on things to consider and what you need to understand as you return to play. The frequently asked questions sheet hopefully addresses a lot of the questions you may have surrounding COVID, surrounding our surrounding our events as we return. I want to talk a little bit about our protocol, and I'm going to pull up a little different form here that's a little bit more clear than what you'll see here on our website. So this is what I'm talking about here, so give me a moment. Okay, so this protocol was developed by Special Olympics International, and we received it here in Nebraska the first week of July. And so we've been operating under this protocol for a little over a month now. And I want to say that this protocol applies to our Special Olympics Nebraska competitions. So this would be our regional and state competitions for the 19 different sports that we offer events in. This would not apply to any fundraisers or school-based activities that we might hold. For fundraising events, those guidelines and protocols would be determined per event and consistent with what's in place locally, and those that are involved in planning those events would determine at that time what is safe and appropriate based on where the event is, who's involved, and that type of information. For school-based activities, we will work specifically with the school or school district for any protocols or precautions that are needed. And that will be consistent with what's in place with the school, and we'll want to keep students and visitors and everyone safe as we can. So for our events here with Special Olympics Nebraska, we have this protocol, and I'm going to refer to these different color-coded sections as zones. And so in the green section or low risk zone, you can operate in this zone if you have less than 10 new cases daily per 100,000 people, or you have a vaccination rate of greater than 80% of your participants. The yellow or moderate risk zone would be 11 to 15 new cases per day, and less than 80% are fully vaccinated, your participants. And then the orange risk zone is the significant risk zone. This is where the community rates are greater than 15 new cases per day per 100,000 people, and you have less than 80% of your participants fully vaccinated. So for us here at Special Olympics Nebraska, we recently held a competition in early August, our fall games. We had 4 sports. We had tennis, golf, bocce, and softball. And we were able to operate in the green zone for that event. The reason is because we were able to show, just through the information provided to us by our heads of delegation of those involved, and we had more than 500 participants for that weekend of competition, that we had a greater than 80% vaccination rate for our participants. And so we were able to operate with less restrictions and do things in a much more safe capacity because of that. And when we received this policy, like I said, early July in Nebraska, we had less than 10 new cases per day. I believe we had an average of 6 new cases per day per 100,000 people. And since then, we are now, as of August 16th, at 22 new cases per day per 100,000 people in Nebraska. So as of right now, we are currently in the orange zone, significant risk zone. And so I want to show you a little bit about what that means. Okay, so as you scroll down on this page, and like I said, this is on our website, you will see the different precautions in place. In a significant risk zone, you must have 50 or less people if you are inside for your particular event. And that could be a practice, it could be one of our competitions, it could be a team gathering of some sort. And so if you're wondering, well, what do I do at practice? How do I know what precautions to take? As of today, if you are practicing and getting together for upcoming competitions, you are operating in this orange risk zone, and you would need to abide by the guidelines listed here, unless you can show that those that are participating have a vaccination rate of greater than 80%. And participants would be defined as athletes, unified partners, coaches, and anyone that's a part of your group that is actively interacting with the athletes involved on your team. So this would not include spectators that are away from practice. This would be those that are participating in practice. And for our events moving forward, assuming that the numbers continue in the general vicinity where they are now and they don't go back down, we will be looking at every event that we have on an individual basis, and we will determine whether we should be in green, yellow, or orange for that event based on not only the COVID cases and numbers for our state at that time, but the vaccination rate. So we will be asking for that information from our heads of delegation at registration for each competition. And if we can continue to show event by event that we're at greater than 80, then we'll operate in green. If we cannot, then that will definitely affect whether or not an event can take place in person. And if it can, what type of adjustments or precautions are needed. And I hope that everyone understands that this protocol is in place for Special Olympics programs across the globe. And we're just doing whatever we can to understand where we are and what we need to do to keep people as safe as possible for that particular event. So fully vaccinated means that you've received both your shots, if it's Pfizer or Moderna, and that it's been 2 weeks since completing your doses. If you have the Johnson & Johnson, that's a 1-shot dose, but it would still be 2 weeks after. That would mean you're fully vaccinated. As again, participants would include athletes, unified partners, coaches, officials, anyone that's close to those athletes. When we say community, as of now, what we're looking at is the state of Nebraska as a whole. And I understand that there's different communities in the state that have different rates, and cases are higher in some places and lower in some places. But our competitions generally bring people from different places, and we have athletes that might live in a different county than the rest of their team and or where they practice. And so it's very difficult just to look at things specifically on the local level. So we're looking at it right now on a state level, and that's certainly subject to change as all of this is. COVID-19 is a fluid situation, and our return to play is certainly something that we have to look at every day, every week, and keep adjusting as we go. Let's see here. So I want to talk a little about some of the precautions that are in place for each level. So in the low risk zone, masks are strongly recommended for all participants. Anyone that is unvaccinated must wear a mask at all times, with the exception of when a person is actively involved in what's termed as rigorous exercise. So if you look at our most recent competition, we had athletes playing tennis as an example. When you're playing tennis, that would be rigorous exercise. When you're playing bocce, that is not. And so we have to look at each sport on its own. Upcoming competitions that we have this year, we have our equestrian competition scheduled for September 12th. We have our unified bowling competition scheduled for October 16th. Unified bowling will take place in Omaha, Lincoln, and Kearney this year. And then we have our flag football soccer weekend, October 23rd and 24th. And our plan is to have flag football on October 23rd and soccer on October 24th. Both of those sports will take place in Papillion at Papillion Landing, which is a facility that is newer to us, but something that we're excited about. When it comes to distancing, we just need to all do what we can to stay as distant as possible. And obviously when you're playing sports and you're in competition, sometimes that's just not realistic. So we just need to proceed with caution and do what we can to keep people as separated as possible. When you have spectators, ask families to sit 6 feet apart and that type of thing, just to help. We are allowing for overnight travel, beginning with any event that we have coming up this fall. So there are some different rules in place. As always, we cannot share beds. Any athlete or unified partner that's sharing a room, everyone must have their own bed. With the COVID-19 protocol, it's important to understand that we cannot have more than 4 people sharing a room. And if we do have 4 people sharing a room, all of those individuals must be vaccinated. If you have somebody who's unvaccinated within the group, then the max is 2 people per room. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what you need to consider as you potentially look at traveling. Like I said, whether you're a coach, whether you're an athlete, a family member, and we're hoping that we can continue to move forward and have competitions and that things will look as close to normal as possible. We know how much people have missed the opportunity to get back out there with their teammates and see people from other teams and travel and have all of that fun. And we want to do what we can to make those things possible. Now, in the moderate risk zone, it is required that all participants are wearing masks except during rigorous exercise. The same thing for the orange risk zone. And I understand that masks, can be a tricky topic, and there are plenty of those that don't believe in masks. And just like the vaccine, these are things that, it draws lots of opinions. And certainly for us, we are not sitting in judgment one way or another when it comes to a person's viewpoint about the vaccine or when it comes to masks. We just have a protocol in place, and we're doing our best to follow it to keep a vulnerable population as safe as we can. And we just need to have a good understanding of where we are, which is why we ask for the information, and then we need to execute this protocol. If we don't execute this protocol, then we don't have insurance. If we don't have insurance, then we don't have competitions. So if you have questions about those things, please reach out to me. We're happy to have the conversation, but please understand that what's listed here is what is required. And you can see here some of the other things that are involved. And when we get to orange, which is where we are today, we do need to start doing the temperature checks and the screening questions like we did last year when we had a little bit different protocol, but we were sitting in either phase 1 or phase 2. And again, on our return to play page, you can find the information, the forms that you need when it comes to screening athletes and that type of thing. In the yellow zone, these screening procedures are recommended. And again, if you need forms and you need anything like that, all you need to do is reach out to Taylor Wolf at our office and we'll be happy to provide you that information. So please take some time to read over where we are, but this is kind of a brief summary of this protocol and where to find it. If you have questions, please reach out to me and let me know how that we can help. And we're excited to see what we can do the rest of this year. And if you're unsure of when competitions are being held and you're a coach, check in the coaches portal and look at the competition calendar. If you're not a coach, on our website, you can look at our general calendar to look at when activities and sports are taking place, and any of those details, just reach out to our staff if you have questions. But thank you for your willingness to come back this year, and we look forward to seeing you. And if you have questions, give us a call.